And that's one of my favorite beats, actually, is that four on the floor thing. And I try to throw it in whenever I can. So that guy.
Exactly.
I'm
That
just
guy,
kidding.
whoever
I'm just
you
kidding.
are. And that guy, ladies and gentlemen, was Matt Cameron from Soundgarden and Pearl Jam. Remember, if you forgot what terror was like, it's back. Welcome back to Direct Edition Podcast, a podcast about nothing and everything. And I am your host, Davide. D-A-V-I-D apostrophe E, Davide. That's not my name, it's Dave, but you can call me Davide if you're sexy enough. I'm bringing sexy back. All right, look, this is ruining the episode already, Dave. Shut up. Today, I'm bringing a special guest, as I always do. Everybody's a special guest. If you're not, well, I hope I never announce you as a non-special guest, because then that just makes me feel sad. Cut that part. Today's guest is an old friend of mine. His name's Jonny Phillip. If you're an indie music fan, especially in the Midwest indie music fan, you might know him from certain bands like the Benjamins, the Obsoletes. Also plays drums in a band called Limbeck, which is a West Coast band, but he's not West Coast. He also played drums for Tommy Stinson of the Replacements, as well as Trapper, Schoepp, and the Shades, which is where I met Jonny, was when he was the drummer for Trapper. He's somebody I became very fast friends with, who's been around in the music field for a long time. I grew up in Milwaukee, and he had gotten sober about 14 years ago, I think now, and he was kind of the person who helped guide me towards my path to sobriety and helped me figure out, the help I needed to get and all that. And he just became really great friend in all of those years. And I had gone to see him in Milwaukee do some great things. And I thought it would be a fun time to sit down with him, especially because he's owned a record label, a small record label called Goodland Records. But now he's an addiction specialist, counseling. He works with addiction and recovery. And he's just doing some great things. And I thought it would be a fun time to sit down and talk about that and joke around and talk about some of the favorite things that we have in common and some of the differences that we have in our favorite things. Talk about music and life in general. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation because it's truly a conversation that goes from here to there, back to here, back to there. Big thanks to Jonny for doing this. And without any further ado, let's get into my conversation with Jonny Phillip, a.k.a. John, a.k.a. the good man from the good land. Welcome back, Direct Edition, friends and family and foes. We got another episode today, and I'm bringing you an old friend of mine, somebody I've known for, close to 15 years. A drummer by trade in bands like Limbeck, the Benjamins, the Obsoletes, for Trapper, Schoepp, Josh Berwanger, also his own band, Mini Meltdowns, and a co-founder of Goodland Records. And after I knew him from his musical career, somebody I felt a kinship with in sobriety, somebody who works with people in recovery, my friend, John Phillip, as well as the biggest Liam Finn fan in the universe.
Oh my gosh, what a great intro. And I can't believe that you plugged Liam Finn in that intro.
Well, I was going to say...
Couldn't have done it better myself. And everybody to be let in on the inside joke. David Wexler here loves to talk about Liam Finn and also his brother, right?
Yeah, well, his brother's Elroy and his dad is Neil, and his dad and uncle are the founding members of Crowded House, the biggest band in New Zealand.
Yes. Which are great.
Yes, they are. They are. I was almost going to say today's podcast is getting to the bottom of why Use Your Illusion 2 is a superior album to Appetite for Destruction.
Oh my gosh, that's a bold statement, Dave. I don't know if I would follow that theory either.
Well, it's something that I think I've been teasing you about since I've known you. Not that I don't like Appetite, but I don't know.
What's there to not like about Appetite?
Well, that's
really
something as for a musician and a music fan, yourself, which I would say you're almost as much of a music fan than like your love for music almost supersedes your love for playing music.
True.
But there's something to be said about these albums that we grew up with and love. I'm tired of hearing the hits from Appetite. Like they no longer make me like excited. Whereas hearing stuff like Brownstone or Night Train or My Michelle, those songs kind of excite me. Kind of like in the way that Nevermind. I don't need to hear Teen Spirit ever again, but give me Drain You and On a Plane all fucking day.
Yeah, that's a good statement.
You know,
I kind of go in circles with all of this. I won't touch Appetite for maybe a year or two, and then I'll put it on in the car, and
Mhm.
I'm like, "Fuck, man, this is just it sounds so good." Circling back to Josh Berwanger here, we
Mhm.
were driving in his car once, and he is the biggest Guns fan and Axl fan ever. And we were talking, and he goes, "If aliens came down to planet Earth, what is the piece of art that you would show them or
Mm.
have them listen to or have them watch to help them understand who we are and show them something super badass?" And he was like, "I would show them Appetite." I was like, that's pretty fair.
That checks.
It would blow their minds.
Well, I think that would blow their minds and possibly feel like we're the aggressors that we truly are as humans. But alternatively to that, if you really want to get them to love art real quick, aliens, you give them OK Computer, and they'll bring peacefulness to meeting humans. You know, give them a little Radiohead, because that is an album for aliens. OK Computer.
That is, you're totally right.
Yeah.
But great GNR argument, and also talking about Nevermind, because I've dipped into Incesticide recently and In Utero. But if you just take a step back, it's all great.
Oh yeah, all
and
of it.
We're just blessed to have these albums to circle back to, and it
Yeah.
means something different to us now than it did 20, 30 years ago, too.
Yeah, the lens of, I wouldn't even call it nostalgia, just memory. You know, like how we viewed something when we first heard it and how we view it as a different person in our lives. It's the beauty of art in totality, and it really is the beauty of music. I mean, me and you both, you're a diehard Beatles fan. I'm a diehard. I love the Beatles. I know you look to Ringo as like one of your main inspirations on the kit, and like going back and listening to their albums, taking a break, or like listening to one and not listening to another for a while, it changes your perception of how good they are, and in the best way possible.
For sure. And another thing too, just to throw on top of this, is that the Beatles records some of them are being remixed by George Martin's son Giles. He's doing such a great job with these remixes. I don't know if you've ever listened to them, but it kind of breathes new life into the albums, and you're hearing things that weren't so much up front before, but also maybe you just couldn't hear because they weren't working with a lot of channels, and the technology was totally different. But I mean, it's pretty awesome to hear these albums in a whole new light. It's kind of like they were at 70% brightness, and now it's like 101.
Wow.
And some of this is being done to the Replacements albums too, which I think were in dire need of remixing, because the 80s didn't treat them very well.
No. I mean, that's super evident with a band that I love, Metallica. When you hear the remixed, the mixes of these first 4 or 5 albums, it's like, oh shit, like there is so much depth to what they were doing in the studio. Whereas when you listen to something like, And Justice for the first time, it's heavy, but it sounds shallow.
No, totally. And speaking of And Justice for All, there's that whole, is there bass guitar on the album? And then somebody on YouTube added bass guitar to the album. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, those records definitely needed a bit of a remix too.
Speaking of the Replacements, I mean, that's a guy that you've drummed for. You were in the Tommy Stinson band for a while, right?
I was. It was Such a blessing, man. Ben Pearlstein, who we all know and love, and I
Hmm.
actually was texting with him about 20 minutes before I got on the
Oh,
screen with
nice.
you, and he says hello,
Hi,
since he was
Ben.
best. He said he can't wait to listen to the episode. But Ben was managing Tommy Stinson. This is years ago, kind of like in the later aughts, and he was putting together a band for Tommy, and his
Hmm.
whole dream, Ben's whole dream was to have the Obsoletes, my old band, back Tommy at some point, and so the Obsoletes be his backing band, and it didn't exactly happen that way. Me and Tim started playing with Tommy for a couple years, and then Justin Perkins would kind of come in when he would
Hmm.
have some spare time. And now Tim and I are totally out, and Justin has been in Tommy's Bash and Pop for the last on and off for the last, like, I don't know, 7 8 years, and they did that album together, and they did Little Steven's Rock and Roll Cruise.
Hmm.
um but yeah, it's just funny how Tim and I were part of the fold and
Yeah.
Justin wasn't, and now Justin's totally still part of the fold and we're not.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, it seems like so. Well, before we even get into your drumming, I want to tell my listeners how we met. It was at a Trapper Shep show. It was the last. It was it was a show in New York City, and I had met Ben already, but I had only heard about you, and we met while we were both still drinking,
Hmm.
and it's like you guys were my first introduction to any version of a Midwest music scene. Like I didn't know anybody in the Midwest music scene, and didn't know much about it. And it seems very much like almost like a baseball, like a minor league baseball league where we'll lend you this player and you guys can have this player. Because there's so many people in this scene that have played together in bands, or same recording studio that everybody recorded at, same producers. I mean, it feels like it's one of the tightest music scenes that has ever existed in the US and across the genres.
Yeah, especially that specific time when I met you too. It was very
Hmm.
incestuous. Like,
Hmm.
that's how I got involved with Screeching Weasel. That's how I got involved with Tommy. Paul Collins beat Trapper, and then
Hmm.
Trapper got involved with everybody. It was just it was very palpable,
Yeah.
how everybody was getting along, and the upswing of everyone's music. And I think we were all jiving
Hmm.
musically as well. But I also remember when we first met, you weren't the biggest fan of me.
Yeah. Well, that's a story for another time.
Yeah, we'll do that for part two.
Well, the thing is also when you hear about somebody, um, it's completely different from when you meet somebody. Like you could hear great things about a person and meet them and they're a total
Mhm.
dick, or you could hear whatever about somebody, mediocre things, and then meet them and they're a total sweetheart, like I felt when I first met you.
Yeah, and when we actually got to talk, you were like, I don't know why I felt a certain way about you. You're like, you and I could be best friends. And then we were really good friends. I would come to Queens and stay with
Yeah.
you, I remember. And
Yeah, and I've been to Milwaukee, a handful of times to. I mean, I saw you, play the national anthem at a Brewers game. Sing the national
I
anthem.
forgot that you were there, actually. Wow. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah. I'll see if I can dig out a photo and flash it on the screen because I definitely took a bunch of photos of that.
Amazing. Yeah, that was a cool time. Brewers and Cubs at Miller
Yeah,
Park.
yeah, and that was the only time I went to Miller Park. But what a great stadium! What a great
And
city!
which is a great city, which is now Miller Park is now AmFam, American Family Stadium. But
Whatever.
did you see the run that the Brewers are on?
No, I did not.
Oh my God. Like, I'm not, I love baseball and I love any kind of sport. But when you are working in the addiction field like me, and also when you start a family and you have a 21-month-old baby girl, it's just
Yeah.
hard to find the time. And especially when you're not living in the exact state that your team is playing in all the
Hmm.
time, it's hard to get those games unless you pay for the expensive app or whatever.
Sure.
But we almost won 12 in a row. So we won 11 in a row. And then we won 14 in a row, and we've had the best record in baseball for like the past 3 weeks or so.
Oh wow, my brother must be happy. He's an OG Brew Crew fan.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my brother
John Wexler.
That's right. That's right. He grew up his favorite. I mean, we were Mets fans by birth, but his favorite player turned out to be Robin Yount when we were kids. So he just became a Brewers fan. Oh yeah, Robin Yount's class.
See, Robin Yount and Paul Molitor, some of the best Brewers of all time.
Yes, and some of the best players of their time in general. You know.
Yeah, we were lucky.
Yeah, we grew up at a very wholesome time in a lot of the things that we love. But, we could do another entire podcast about what it's like to be born in 1979 and growing up with the things that we loved.
Absolutely. And I hear the Mets are struggling right now. So
yeah, well, that's
sorry about that.
Consistent and constant thing throughout my life. So I don't even care about sports anymore. I worked in that field for too long, and it just drained me of loving sports.
Yeah. How long was that run of you working in that field?
2008 through basically the pandemic.
Yeah, it's a long time, Dave. And now you switched it up. And how long have you been doing this comic business for?
Since 2021. I started the YouTube channel, the West Coast Davengers YouTube channel in 2021, and then this podcast about a year or so ago. But comics have always been, art in general. That's film, music, comics, illustration. Like that's really always been the thing that I've fallen back on for my love and some of my career. And so this podcast serves to bring all of that under one umbrella and give me a chance to create a place for a fan to speak to people that I admire because, I think this is something that you can relate to, whether it's comics, music. Fandom has driven both of those things to places that didn't exist before. Zines have existed for both comics and obviously music. Festivals, whether it's San Diego Comic-Con or even something like Riot Fest, is started from or Lollapalooza was Perry being like, I'm a fan of music. I want to take bands out and do this thing. Like fandom without its toxicity really does drive the arts.
No, that's a great statement.
Yeah.
That was very beautiful, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we can get so obsessed with comics or music or whatever it may be. But I mean, this all comes back to our fandom is pushing this into a new realm and where it is right now and where it's going to go.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that I don't know if you were ever a comic collector at all or a comic reader,
Back in middle school and early high school.
Yeah, when the 90s.
Yeah, and funny story. I had 2 or 3 of the rather large white boxes full of them. And I thought I had some pretty decent comics in there. And when I lived in this house on Oakland in Milwaukee, my upstairs neighbor, Vince, I basically gave him all my comics just to check out and see the value of all of them.
Yeah.
Kind of forgot about it months and months and months later, and time went by. Actually, Vince ended up passing away tragically really early. And I took it as wherever they end up in his family, totally cool. He had his time with them before he passed. That's pretty cool. So we had that different part of our relationship together before he passed. So that was kind of neat. But that's where my collection went.
Oh, well, I mean, hopefully it went to ultimately is in a good home. I mean, what fascinates me and to draw the parallels between music and comics is the fanzine culture. You could pick a genre of music. A lot of it would be punk zines, obviously, especially coming out of the Bay Area. But you would same thing with comics. You would have people starting zines and getting early contributors to them that would turn out to be pros, but a lot of times it was interviews. And, a guy like, what's his name up in Canada, Nardwar. He's the perfect example, of somebody that's a fan that created a avenue to interview the musicians he loves. And look at, he's one of the most recognizable, like punk icons of music.
Mm-hmm. And arguably, I think one of the greatest interviewers of all time. For sure.
And that's where it comes from. It comes from fandom because, it's every artist, whatever you're doing, every performer, creator, whatever. If you've got people that are saying like, hey, I love this person, I want you to check them out. Like that's the organic way of growth. I mean, and so that's what I try to represent with what I do.
That's really neat. Have you ever come across any of those early punk magazine? See, because that's the Ramones were on the first edition of that. I think it was 1974.
I've never come across anything that early, but I did recently find some zine. I can't remember the name of it. I have it in a box in one of my rooms that is more of a new wave goth fanzine. And, it's like, I think one cover, I think it was a Depeche Mode cover. And then the next month it was 9 Inch Nails. And it's like, and it features articles written by different people and, a literal page of classifieds of people looking for members for bands. That's how a lot of people connected in those early days in every scene is like, totally. Classified ads.
Yeah, and Maximum Rock and Roll was really big for me in the 90s in high school. And then Comet Bus.
Yeah, Comet Bus
around
is
there too.
Fucking awesome.
Dude,
awesome.
It's such great writing. And he writes out all of his, and I don't know if he still does, and maybe it's just the font that he uses, but his font is so great.
It is. He hasn't put one out, I feel like, in about a year or two, because my brother, you'd appreciate this. One day my brother just sends me, this must have been a decade and a half ago, he sends me the issue where he basically talks about touring with Green Day and, being their early, one of their early drummers, but then kind of going on the road with them. And ever since I read that, I tracked down as many issues as I could and read every single one cover to cover.
Dude, so cool.
Yeah.
And I want to say, and if my memory serves me right, I want to say you sent me that same Comet Bus issue.
I did. That is right. I did, because I bought like as many copies as I could find and sent them to people.
Dude, thank you for that. And it's so badass of you. So kind.
Yeah, I love doing that. I love, because it's the part of being in, kind of the space that I've always existed in is like trying to connect dots and be like, oh, you like this, then you might like this. I mean, it's what we do also as music fans. You've shown me so many bands. I mean, or you've played with so many bands that I've seen live that I'm like, I never, like, you played drums for and the Paul Collins beat, and I saw you play and I was like, I never heard Paul Collins before, and that was a great show.
Great stuff, man. He's been making music and playing since the middle of the 70s.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Man, what fascinating.
Well, I do want to ask you, and this doesn't have to go into this territory yet if you don't want it to, but you've got to be coming up on 11 years, right?
Yeah. Actually, no. I'm 11 years in. 12 is next March, and you're 3 years. You're 15. You're coming up on 16.
I'm actually 13 and a half almost. Yeah.
And time is weird, because I was like, that gap between our both getting sober is not as wide as I think it is.
Yeah, for some reason, so I'm a year behind of your actual time. But I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, my memory is failing me a lot lately, but Trapper was down recording in Nashville. This is before I moved down here with Brendan Benson. And I want to say I had a lot of conversations on the phone with you around that time, because that's when you were super sober curious.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had my blow up night where I was just like,
We all have them, and you know what's beautiful is that you wanted to make a change and live differently and feel better and do
Mm-hmm.
good. And I mean, look at you now. You look so fucking healthy and
Oh, thanks. Well,
happy. And
you do too.
thank you. You're creating. You're doing this now. You're starting your own business. Just would you have been able to do any of this
Oh
fucked
no,
up?
no, not at all. Not at all. I mean, you know, I didn't know you too deep. You know, like I knew you on the back end of your drinking, but you got to me on like the last year and a half of me just every night, if not, every other night. And I don't remember that person. I remember a lot of situations. I remember a lot of my places that I would hang out, but I don't remember the person that I was in the best way possible. I'm so like away from that person, and I would not be able to do fuck. I don't think I'd be here, put it that way.
Hmm. Yeah,
Like,
amen. I agree with that statement too for myself. And
yeah.
my doctor, when he looked at my charts and I went to treatment, I had hepatitis of the liver at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
found
remember you
out the
telling me
second
that.
second day I was in treatment, and um, also, did you come help pick me up from
I did.
Hazelden too?
I did. Yeah, I did. And I flew all across the country. I was in, yeah, because I think Ben was telling me, like, was it Daniela was going to pick you up? And I was like, fuck it, I'll go out there.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that just came back to me. Seriously. So cool. But yeah, so my doctor was looking at my chart and he was like, "John, I guarantee if you choose to drink like this after you leave here, you will not see 40." And I was 2 days
Yeah.
into being 33 at the time. And I heard everything that he was saying. I understood it. And that was when I was able to say, okay, I get it. I need to completely have a funeral for my old self and I need
Mm-hmm.
to move on and become somebody else. Wave the white flag, if you will. Like I give up.
Yeah. What,
I'll do
what,
whatever you tell me to do.
what was the hardest, what was the, like, in general, what was the hardest thing to let go of that wasn't the actual booze? Like for me, it was the social aspect of it, was like being out all night. That was the hardest thing for me to let go of.
The social aspect is huge for me. I mean, it's such a great social lubricant. You know, they
Mm-hmm.
call it liquid courage, nicknamed for a reason. Um, yes, that is a big reason, but I want to say anxiety and self-hatred was how I just buried it in alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And I miss alcohol for burying my problems. I mean, I wasn't working on myself,
Sure.
but it's such an easy thing to drink and be like, okay, I need to relax, I need to shut my mind off.
Mm-hmm.
But, at the same time I say that and it's like I like being present. I like having the lights on. Um but wouldn't it be nice just if you could just have one night, like when you're super stressed out and depressed and you fucking hate yourself, you just be like, you're restless, irritable, discontent. If you can just have one like four
Just,
hour night, you
yeah.
know?
But it's something that like I know, but before like whatever happens, if I live to be 85 and I'm on my deathbed, I'm getting a fucking glass of scotch in before I go because it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
But for me, yeah, I think about that and I'm just like, my mind will flash forward to the next day, and then the next day is like, oh, just that big, oh fuck.
Yeah, like
And
what did I say? What did I do? The hangover.
yeah,
I don't miss the hangovers. Oh my
man.
gosh.
I
Mine got
mean,
so bad.
the person who's seen me at my worst hangovers, him, Scott. It's
Hmm.
Scott, and oh man, yeah, he's seen me at the worst, of the worst, like a hangover that would kill a normal human being.
Hmm. Yeah, love Scott too, by the way. Shout out to
Yeah,
Scott Horbitz.
yeah, that's right. Scotty's in he's in London right now. He's going to see Gorillaz play one of these very special shows. They're doing the first album in its entirety.
So cool. I
Yeah,
saw that, and saw Coldplay,
yeah. He went
I
to see
think.
Coldplay last night or the night before, and was like literally. I was like, "What did you get a ticket on stage?"
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he was just like on that catwalk thing.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I love
by
Scotty.
the way, are you guys going to any of the Oasis shows or?
No, no, I've never.
Okay.
I've never been the Oasis fan. I'm a Blur guy.
I'm a Blur guy as well, but
Yeah.
I also love Oasis. I have a lot of love for them.
I mean, look, What's the Story, Morning Glory is like, that's a Mount Rushmore type album for a lot of people, and I understand it. I can't get over like them as people. It's hard for me to get past how much of a fucking piece of shit both of them seem to be.
But also, they're very hilarious
They are. Yes,
and
they
super
are.
entertaining. Once you get past them being total dickheads and assholes and super selfish and self-centered, once you move past all of that, you're like, oh my God, they're actually pretty funny.
Yeah,
Like
no.
all their disses are just second to none.
They are. I would almost enjoy them more if they were comedians instead of musicians.
Some people have said that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But,
Okay. Anyways, we can move on from Oasis, Blur all day.
well,
But then,
anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Speaking of Nardwar, Blur did not do Nardwar very, very nicely years ago, and have, I guess, since apologized. But
Oh, that's good. They are a band that I think they got caught up in the same shit that like bands do when they get huge in their respective countries. And I think when they stepped away and he started Gorillaz, like that was it seemed like a huge growing process for everybody, because when they came back with Magic Whip and then they came back with the last album, this is a completely different band that has grown and matured. But Damon to me is one of those guys that like, I think of like a guy like Trent Reznor or Dave Grohl that can do everything and so well. Damon is one of those musicians that's just like, I'm going to choose to do this and it's going to be so good and you're never going to see it coming how good it is. So
totally.
yeah, but I'm sure there were twats in their heyday. I mean, like, look, I think we all know as humans, as men, that we're just assholes especially when we're like growing into our 20s and 30s. Some people
And
never grow out of it though.
I think it was the drummer and maybe a little bit of Alex James. They were the culprits, but I want to say they blamed a lot of their usage at the time on all of that, which I totally understand.
Sure.
You're not the person that you really are truly when you're using and drinking like that.
Yes. And the thing is when you aren't abusing any substances, or you haven't matured and you're in your late 30s going into your 40s, you're in your mid 40s, that's when you really need to reassess what's wrong,
Totally. Fully agree.
So I mean, I'm still a moron, but I'm not like, an asshole.
Well, it sounds like you're not as big of a moron as you used to be 12 years ago.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I want to take it back to your early days. Like, I know it's very well documented that Hysteria by Def Leppard was your first album. What's the album that makes you or what's the band or song that made you want to pick up the drums and the sticks and start bashing shit?
It's funny you say that. Led Zeppelin 2 and Metallica's Black Album. Because I know that there's a lot of differences there, but when I first got into drums, my dad had this SVT Ampeg bass amp, which I have now. It's a B15, and we used to wire it to a boombox and actually record off of CDs and other tapes and stuff. And he would blast tapes through that amp, and I would play along with them.
Oh, wow.
So Led Zeppelin 2 and Metallica's Black Album is what I learned how to play drums to. I was self-taught.
Yes. Yeah. I know that that's something that you're very proud of, which is great because everybody learns in different ways. And, I tried to take guitar lessons. They didn't take at all.
It's not for everybody. Music, also playing an instrument's not for everybody. And that's totally okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But being self-taught, and it's so funny that we're talking about this right now because I was just talking about this at a work breakfast because somebody asked me somewhat the same question.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I was more trained. So I was rudimentarily fit as a drummer and I could do crazy drum solos but I've never wanted to be that kind of player, but it would be kind of cool to be flashy like that occasionally. But, me learning and self-teaching myself, I have this feel that I can't learn from anybody.
Right.
I can't be taught. I have my own language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be
I think that's what's got me the gigs that I have gotten over the years.
Yeah.
Is that also my personality that I've been easy to work with, and granted, I'm sure there's times that I have not been easy to work with.
Sure. But it's like having, it's like if you're a writer and you have your own writing style and you never were taught that style, it's just, it's how you learned how to write. Sure, you can refine it by watching other people, how they do things, or learning little tips and tricks along the way. But organically, it's great to self-teach, because then nobody can tell you you're doing it wrong. It's literally yours. It's how you learn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember when I was teaching myself how to play drums, and instead of doing kick and then snare after, I was doing a lot of 4 on the floor. And I think a lot of people that are learning drums do that because it kind of feels natural. And I remember somebody that was a drummer that I was actually hanging out with was like, "You're doing it wrong." And he's trying to teach me. He's like, "Oh, screw you, man. You're never going to be anything on the drums." And that's one of my favorite beats, actually, is that 4 on the floor thing. And I try to throw it in whenever I can. So fuck that guy.
Exactly. Fuck that guy, whoever you are. And that guy, ladies and gentlemen, was Matt Cameron from Soundgarden and Pearl Jam.
Oh, and he just resigned. What do you feel about that?
Look, I think he's one of the greatest drummers of my lifetime. He's played in pretty much any band that he plays in is an amazing band. Can't forget Temple of the Dog as well.
For sure.
I think he's just tired from the road and, even though they don't tour as frequently as they used to, I think he was just kind of like, all right, I've done it all. And,
I totally respect that.
Yeah. And he basically said, he's like, he may be done with the band and doing that, but he's not done with music. Like, he's still going to create his own stuff, which he's been doing on and off for years. And Pearl Jam will find the right fit. Maybe they'll get Jack Irons back. Who knows?
Wow. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think of this? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I mean, they've never had a bad drummer. They always have good drummers.
Mm-hmm. Great band and great live band, I hear. It's one of these days.
The best. What were you going to ask me?
What do you think of this 9 Inch Nails Foo Fighters drum swap?
Oh, the swap. It's so wild. Like, I just hope it was done on good terms with everybody. I hope it wasn't like this fuck you thing. I just saw Nails up in Vancouver, and, Josh Freese is, he's the top. Like, you're looking for somebody to drum. He's the top. He's at the top.
He's totally nuts, man.
Yeah.
He has been for many, 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 many years.
And that's why he's played with all the greats.
When he was with the Vandals still, and they had there's a live video of the Vandals playing, and it's on YouTube, and they do like a kick drum cam along with him playing, and just he's fucking out of his mind.
He is.
And there's videos him playing with 9 Inch Nails in like the later aughts. So it's like, dude, he's otherworldly.
He really is. He's and the fact that he can adapt and play with any band is just a testament to like not just his skill, but like his passion and like his workmanship. Like, oh, you need me to play with? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll do this tour. Give me like, I mean, what? He jumped on the Nine Inch Nails tour after 4 days after it was announced or something like that.
Yeah, they said 2 days of practice or something.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You know,
And
you got to look at his resume: Devo, Guns N' Roses, Sting,
yeah,
Paul
Perfect
Westerberg,
Circle.
The Replacements, Perfect Circle.
Yeah,
It's just endless.
it is. It is. And Cortini, no, I'm sorry. Ilan Rubin is a fantastic drummer. I think he'll do great with, the Foo Fighters. I just, like I said, like Trent and Dave have worked together a bunch of times. So I just hope that relationship wasn't soured because, they're both not only, not to say that they're not alpha males, but they are alpha dogs of their world. But we all know Trent has a very, very, very sharp side to him. Like, he's told off pretty much everybody that's ever crossed his path.
Mm-hmm.
But, these are both bands that I absolutely love with frontmen that I will, pay money to see and buy their albums whenever they release whatever it is, and but seeing Freeze, especially they played Perfect Drug, and then right after they played I'm Afraid of Americans, it was like, oh man, this is a treat.
Dude, he's absolutely out of his mind.
Yeah. He seems like a really good dude too.
Totally. Yeah, he's a really nice guy. I met him a couple times because he was with the Replacements when they were united in 2014, 2015, whatever, 2013 to 2015.
Oh, that's right. Then I saw him play with them.
You did.
Yeah.
And I went down to Atlanta to Shaky Knees. It was my birthday in 2014, and Ben and Tommy flew me down. So I got to hang out with him a little bit. Super nice. Nice guy. He'll talk to anybody. Super goofy.
Yeah, he seems really goofy. I'd love to have him on this show. He would be a fun guy to talk to, but it could be like a 12-hour interview because he's done so much.
Yeah. And Ilan Rubin, I'm really excited to see what he does with the Foo Fighters because he's got that open drum style, and it's, I mean, the dude I never knew much about until when I first moved down here. I became friends with this guy Jonathan Clark, who great musician down here in Franklin. I remember we were driving in my car and he had a couple burnt CDs on him. This is 10 years ago. And he threw in a Paramore CD. And in my mind, I was like, I've never been a fan of Paramore. I'm like, I guess I have to sit through this. And he put on that song, Ain't It Fun?
Yeah.
And then I learned that Ilan Rubin plays on that album. And that song in particular is a fucking monster of a song. And I was like, well, I guess Paramore is really good. I didn't know that. And that was the first time I heard Ilan Rubin. I'm like, this dude is crazy.
Yeah. And when
so good.
He was with Nine Inch Nails for decade and a half. And, I've seen them. They're probably like the fourth most band I've seen the most, 16, 17, 18 times. And he's just between like seeing him and Freeze play over the last 2 decades. It's like, man, they're just two talented guys. It's funny that you mentioned Paramore. I've been listening to Hayley Williams released like 17 songs over the last month. And I've been listening to that a lot. And I was never a Paramore fan, but I'll say it's like a singer song, like a songwriter. Like the stuff that she just released is fantastic. It's got a nice variety to it sound wise, but it's all just really good lyrically and musically. So
I'm excited to hear that because I enjoyed her last couple solo records.
Yeah. They have variety.
Really good textures and good variety, like you said. But as a singer too, like she's really fucking good, man.
Yeah.
You can't deny it.
Feels like her voice hasn't really aged a day. And, I was thinking about it. I was doing a little old research, trying to figure out if I ever saw them live. And they were at Warped Tour on Long Island in 2007. I'm like, holy shit, they've been, she's been singing professionally in front of crowds for 20 plus years now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just
I want to say management back then I want to say they were trying to edge her out of the band and try to make her go solo, like
Yeah.
Gwen Stefani and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I guess it just didn't work.
That's okay, because Gwen Stefani, I wouldn't, I mean, like, I'm sure everybody would like to have her success, but I wouldn't want to follow her musical career because it's just kind of went that way for me, personally.
Yeah, I agree with that statement.
Yeah. And, you know, she's probably a trumper anyway. Anywho, so I did want to ask, about you touched on the Replacements, but that's a band to me that not that I don't know a lot about, but I never realized their impact on music because it wasn't a band that I was anywhere. They weren't in my radius. Westerberg came into my radius on the single soundtrack, but I didn't even have the connection that Paul Westerberg was the guy singing in a band called The Replacements. I just thought he was a guy named Paul Westerberg. For you, can you give me a little bit more of your love of them, but also like how they impact music so much and how many people, like how, give me a little history on them as it pertains to the Midwest music and all that.
Yeah, so me being from Milwaukee, our neighbor to the north is Minneapolis, where they're from. So I've always been in tune to that Midwest punk rock and roll sound. Um, I never grew up with the Replacements. So in the 90s, when I was, early 90s when I was getting into punk, they weren't on my radar, probably because of the people I was hanging out with at the time. But then early 2000s, I had this roommate named Nate, and the Replacements were his favorite band. Tim was his favorite record of all time. And I remember he put on Tim for me, and my first thought was, man, this album sounds like shit. Like the drums are terrible. There's a couple songs on it that didn't really sound that great to me, like Lay It Down Clown and Dose of Thunder. I didn't quite get it the first, I would say 6 months of being introduced to the Replacements. And then all of a sudden it just clicked and I got it. It's like Paul Westerberg's writing these songs. He's like the lovable loser. Everything's very self-deprecating. He has really good metaphors in his songs and imagery, but he kind of is writing for us loners out there with heartache and broken families, whatever it may be. And then I found out later that he has also suffered with substance abuse, and I think the band as a whole did too. Tommy is now sober too, which is really cool.
Oh, that's great.
So I got really exposed to their music, and then I just got obsessed with it because it clicked and I got it. And the sounds of the records, like they're very 80s, reverb drums. And some of it's a little bit lo-fi for the first 2-3 records, which all of it has just gotten more charming with me over the years. But then if you pick apart some of their great songs, it's like the start of with REM, of course, too. They're like the big starters of college alternative rock. Like they're the ones that put college alternative rock on the map. REM, like 30 more times so. They went on to sell like millions of records. And Replacements were like the indie darlings of alternative college rock, where I think they were probably selling 150, 200,000 records. Pretty awesome for this little punk rock band from Minneapolis, though.
Love
and then
stories.
Paul went on to be on the Singles soundtrack, and what is that? He also did another soundtrack, and Tommy plays with the bass on it. It's like God, I'd have to look. Something Out of Season, or it's some animated cartoon movie.
Oh, okay.
And then Tommy did a soundtrack for another movie with that guy BT. He's kind of like an electro pop guy. So they've just gone on to do interesting things. And then Tommy going on to play with Guns N' Roses and ultimately playing on Chinese Democracy, which is
wild,
very ironic. And then being part of that camp in a way through Ben and getting to know them as a band personally and being in the same van rides as Paul Westerberg, you just totally get it. You get this like lovable loser charm.
Yeah,
Paul Westerberg, he doesn't own a cell phone, I guess, or he doesn't have internet. And I guess maybe he might have gotten a cell phone and maybe just has his son's number in it. I think there's a lot
sure.
of lore around everything replacements, and
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
Paul Westerberg. Um, it's just there's nobody like Paul Westerberg in the world. He's like an alien.
I mean, and he, their music is responsible for so much. Like there are so many bands that'll cite the Replacements, or as they're called, the Mats, as their favorite band or the reason why they started a band. I mean, it's, there's, and I got to see them twice and they were fantastic. I'm not ultra familiar with their music, but there are songs I know, Alex Chilton, and there's a couple other ones. Yeah, yeah, and they're fantastic. Like the more I got to be around you and Ben, the more I learned about how important this band was. And it just, when I hear that, even if I'm not a huge fan of the music, I enjoy the music because I know it affects so many people in such a positive way.
You have to respect it even if you don't dig on what you're hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it's super groundbreaking for that time. And I think they're getting more love than ever now. They're going back and remixing some of the albums. They're doing these expanded box sets.
Yeah.
That seems to be the big thing for the anniversary of a lot of these older albums, which is really cool.
No,
Because
it's
then you get
great.
to hear live shows from that era that you haven't heard before, or maybe it sounded like shit from a really crappy bootleg, and then now it sounds really great. And you're hearing these extra bonus tracks that never made the album, that didn't see the light of day, or if they did, they sounded like shit. It's really
Yes.
cool.
Yeah, and getting the extra stuff. I mean, look, it's going to make me feel old saying this out loud. Last year, American Idiot turned fucking 20 years old. And the box set, which I had to buy because the show I was at that they played the day the album came out is part of that box set. And I'm like, I went to the show at Irving Plaza. I got to see them play the entire album the day it came out. 20 years later, I get to hear that show again.
That is so cool, Dave.
It's
how was that show in the grand scheme of things?
It was bonkers because like we're hearing, we knew American Idiot because that was their first single. We're hearing this album for the first time live. And then after they played the album, they launched into like a 6 or 7 song set with, Longview and Basket Case. And they played Brain Stew into Jaded. It was ape shit. And then craziest thing about that is MTV had a camera crew there and they thought that they should go on the floor for when they play Brain Stew and Jaded. And the cameraman got wrecked.
Oh my gosh. That's fun.
Yeah, yeah. And it's the one thing, I'm not a big fan of record companies exploiting and releasing this thing every fucking time that they can. But when they do it right, when the band is involved and they do it right, you get these great box sets. Radiohead has done it with OK Computer. Pearl Jam did it with 10 Verses in Vitology and, included all this cool extra stuff. When it's not a cash grab, when it's an actual like involvement of archiving and putting stuff out, Metallica's so good at that. They put out these giant box sets with all this stuff. So yeah, for a Replacements fan, if they're doing that, that's amazing.
Dude, the Replacements box sets couldn't have been done better. I mean, they're winning Grammys for these.
Wow.
Bob Murr, which is a writer from Memphis, he's going back and he helped write the liner notes, and I think he was working with Sire and whoever is doing these box sets. He's working with the band and the record label execs. So he's kind of the middleman. And I guess his days of doing these are over, but then the Let It Be box set's coming out. And Darren, who's Paul's manager, I'm sure he picked somebody in the right place, and that's going to be really awesome too. And Justin Perkins from the Obsoletes is he remastered the album, but then he also helped mix some of the live concert and extras.
Oh, wow.
which is pretty cool.
People that care doing this stuff is really what matters, especially
Exactly.
as we dip into the late stages of late capitalism, and things start to literally go on fire. We need people that care about the arts to be in charge of releasing stuff.
Right. Couldn't agree more. And by the way, I saw Metallica for the first time
Oh, nice.
this year.
And what'd you think?
It was fucking great, dude.
Yeah,
What they do very well.
yes. And not playing the same set list twice and doing all these, making sure they're pulling out songs that people haven't heard or haven't heard in a while. And, like those guys are consummate performers. Like they know how to. The thing that impresses me the most is we've watched now 40 years of James Hetfield, and his voice has. There was a point where he wasn't taking care of it, and you could hear it. And he has taken so good care of himself in the last 20 years. It's like, wow, this is a real treat to hear how he sounds. Kirk never lost a step. Never.
Oh yeah. I there are some hangups I have, but I'd rather concentrate on all the positive things. That
Sure.
Metallica is still out there and doing it, and James and Kirk are kicking fucking ass. Like James, like watching him, you're like, okay, you're watching greatness right
Yes.
now. And these songs are ingrained almost in your DNA because you've heard them so many times, and they're like an old friend or like a family member,
And he does not get the credit that Kirk is Kirk, but James doesn't get the credit as a guitarist that he should, because like to play what he plays while he's singing is not an easy task.
No, not at all. I mean, he's one of the greats,
Yeah.
Kirk Hammett.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
all cheers to Metallica. Speaking of record labels, you co-founded Goodland Records.
Co-founded Goodland Records in November 2010, so we are coming up on our 15-year anniversary in a couple of months.
What's your biggest pleasure of running a record label, having a record label? Like what, getting to release stuff, but like, let's hear it from you, what your biggest pleasure of it is.
I never set out to ever start my own record label. That was never a goal. So it was very unexpected. I had a friend that I went to high school with, Andrew Wieland, and he presented me with this idea, and he had ideas of how to get funding and how to put everything in place. And he wanted my connections. Basically, this lunch that we had, it all made sense. And I threw in all these ideas to help this plan happen, and we came up with the logo and the name together, and basically we were releasing 5-6 albums a year in our heyday, which is pretty hefty for a very small label. And we had a publicist that was basically hired for every album, Heather West out of Chicago. And Heather West also does all of the publicity for Riot Fest. She has for years. But then also she is instrumental in getting Music Cares involved in getting me sober. So I mean, it's all, everything that has happened has just been so, it's like destiny.
Yeah.
Like I was supposed to start this record label. I was supposed to become a total worthless drunk, get sober from Music Cares and go to Hazelden and have these best friends and have this love and support. But I want to say, just to get back to your question, the best thing is just releasing art. So I am one of the people out in the world that has helped art get out to the other people, and have helped friends release their album that don't have the resources to exactly do that. Like my friend Nick Junkins, his alias is Archie Powell and the Exports. We released 2 of their albums, which was a total pleasure. And, they didn't have money for a publicist and to press the album, and they didn't have any distribution or anything like that. So it was the perfect thing for me to step in and help and use all of our connections to try to help the label, to have the label help the band, the publicist help everything. And it was a lot of trial and error because I never did it before. and didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Made a lot of mistakes financially. Um, Made some mistakes on releases. Maybe like I pressed too much. And I'm
Sure.
like, this thing's going to sell 500. No worries. We ended up selling 250. So we're sitting on 250 albums. Um, but all in all, it's been so cool to be a musician, to be on the other side of the coin and
Hmm.
help musicians and their art get out to the world.
Yeah.
And I really tried to do my best that
Yeah.
I actually could to help that release get wheels and sell more copies and help them out on the road, get more notice. I, it was wonderful, and we still have it, but it's just not as functioning as it once was. Like we
Sure.
don't have the capital, and we don't have all these bands touring on the road and an in-house publicist anymore. But we are still helping friends. Like there's this honky tonk band out of Milwaukee, the Hughes Family Band. They have two releases, a 7-inch and a full length, and we did both of them for them. And sadly, right while we were working on the full length, one of the twin brothers ended up dying
Uh,
unexpectedly. And so we got to release that in his honor. So it's actually the album's actually called One Last Night with Nathan Hughes.
oh,
And
that's
it
amazing.
was really touching to be a part of it. And I had people message me like thanking me for putting it out, and it was awesome to work with the band and just help them through all of their pain
Yeah.
and handle some of the things that I don't think they wanted to at the time. And then this new release, not to
No,
jump off of this like
no,
truly
do it.
painful, beautiful release, but this band Hello Face. It's super crazy that we released their album because their lead guitar player is Dan from the Benjamins. So it's a full circle moment. So
Yeah.
Dan from my old band, and then their singer Bobby is somebody that I went to high school with. That I actually played in a very, very, very tiny high school kind of emo rock band with in the
Ah,
'90s, and then now I'm putting out his new record, and it's
that's
just
how it
so
works,
wild,
though.
man.
That's how it
So
works. Like you
cool.
said, it's destiny, but it's also like you trusting a choice that you made and trusting yourself to make a choice with whether the outcome is good or not. You know, that's the thing is like I can't even remember the complete quote, but it's in Lord of the Rings. When you step out of your door, you take a step, you never know what, like it's the talking about, like, you got to make that first step. And, we can't, if you sit around and don't, you never know what's going to happen. But if you
Right,
do,
right.
you don't know what's going to happen when you do, but at least you did it.
I love that, and it also reminds me of this thing. Did you ever listen to the Rich Roll podcast?
I haven't, no.
He's a recovery guy too, so if you ever get a chance, check it out. And he had this woman on talking about the decision-making process
Hmm.
and how decisions are so important, right? Like if you're going to choose to go to Yale or go to Harvard, um, what if you go to Harvard and you don't meet many friends, you have a bad time academically, um, you don't get the job that you wanted from this. So it's like maybe you think you made the wrong decision because you didn't choose Yale. Maybe you would have even had a worse decision if you would have chose Yale. So you don't have to choose something and stew on it that hard. You have to make it the right choice.
Yeah, that's a great way to
That's a
look at
big
it.
thing. It's like you can't also this is also another thing that I want to throw into the mix too, because this woman said it to me. I was shipping a Goodland Records order at the post office,
Hmm.
and there was a mom with two toddlers, a boy and a girl. And my wife and I have a 21 month girl, and you look at parents and kids totally different after having one.
I'm sure.
And I'm sitting there waiting for this mom to be done with her transaction. She has the kids grabbing cards out of the little end cap thing that they have at the post office. They're creating such a ruckus. And I'm kind of giggling to myself because I'm like,
Yeah.
this mom has her hands full today,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Like this is a lot for her, and I feel bad. And then my transaction was super quick. And then she ended up holding the door for me when I left the post office. And I said, "You don't have to do that." I'm like, thank you so much, ma'am. I'm like, "You have your hands full." She just stopped. She goes, "Oh my God, I do." But she goes, "I love these two kids." And I go, "I have one myself. We just have one baby girl, 21 months." And she goes, "Are you guys thinking about a second?" And I was like, we've been talking about it. We don't really know if it's something that we want, something that we don't. We're kind of in between, just kind of like talking about it stage. And she goes, "I do want to tell you, I don't regret having a second one." She goes, "I don't want to have a third one because that would be chaotic." But she goes, "I never regret the things that I do. I regret the things that I don't do." And she goes, "You have to live your life that way." And I'm just like, I never expected to have this conversation at the post office
At the
right
post
now.
office. Well, I could tell you from a former postal employee, a mailman, I have weird conversations like that. I had those a lot because especially it was during COVID. So, people didn't see, a lot of people didn't see anybody beside me all day. So
Very true. Yeah. I remember this. You were a walking postman, right?
I was, in Seattle for a year and a half. I mean, the post office is ultimately what gets me never wanting to work for somebody else again and puts me on this, talk about decision, right? Like COVID hits, I make the decision. I'm like, all right, let me apply. I get the job. I'm like, all right, let me do this. And then it ultimately, like I said, it just kills my spirit of ever working for anybody other than myself again and puts me where I am today. And, 5 years from now, if I haven't, and you'll appreciate this, if I haven't interviewed Eddie Vedder on this podcast, I will consider myself a failure.
Eddie Vedder is going to come on the pod one of these days.
He is. I will make it happen. I mean, that's, the decision-making thing. Like you said, you make a decision to do something. I mean, there are days where I sit here and I'm just like, I got to send out 5 pitch emails for the podcast. I just got to do it. And I got to push through that like weird mental block that says nobody wants to fucking come on your podcast, Dave. And I do it. And like, if I don't do it, nothing's ever going to happen. If I do it, maybe nothing happens. But the other side of it is it does work and it does happen. But
absolutely.
But indecision, I mean, so bringing it back to sobriety and being a sober person, it took me years to figure out who I was post sobriety, like as David, as myself, like who am I? And that journey continued. I moved to the Northwest, which definitely changed who I was and made me feel like I'm supposed to be here. But what about you? Like, you took you 3.5 years before you got out of Milwaukee after being sober, and you're in Nashville. Like, where did you start? When did you start to feel like, okay, this is the John Phillip, this is who I am?
That's such a great question. And I'm actually still figuring that out 13 and a half years later. I thought getting sober was going to give me all of the answers. I thought it was going to answer my anxiety, my self-hatred, my fears, my shortcomings. I thought just everything was going to be solved over the next couple of years. It's just not real. You have to do more work than just putting the drink down, because the alcohol was the solution to my problems. So I had to find a different solution. And I would say getting in the right relationship has been a big help, because I haven't picked the greatest partners. And sometimes it's not the partner that I chose. It's just we're not maybe the best choice to be together as people in a relationship. So finding the right partner, somebody that supports you, that I have right now, and that was wanting to start a family with me. I want to say therapy is the biggest help to figure out who I am. Also finding a partner that calls you out on all your shit. Because if you have no accountability, like you have nobody there daily dealing with your fears and anxiety and your white lies, and it's easy to bullshit things in life.
Yes.
It's nice to have somebody to call you out on things so that you can continue to grow. Because I think I was constantly in the wrong relationship in my life that wasn't challenging me, that wasn't calling me out in the right way, wasn't supporting me in the right way. Um, but I think I'm finally making steps to figure out who I am. And life also gets in the way too.
Oh
So,
yeah.
um, COVID happened. That was hard for everybody, and everybody had their own challenges for it.
Mm-hmm.
3 years prior to that, my dad passed away suddenly of
Yeah.
cancer, and I'm glad that I was sober for that because I remember everything of like the last year that I had with my dad, and I wouldn't have had that if I was still drinking.
No.
Um, and I'm also glad I got through it sober after he passed because it would have been so easy to pick something up,
Yeah, I remember talking to you in the months surrounding that, and we talked about that a little bit.
No, we've had really good conversations, and I know over the last 4 or 5 years they've gotten less and less. Life just gets in the way, and
Yeah.
um, and I know that you haven't held it against me or anything, and vice versa.
No, it's
But
just we're separated by the amount of stuff that we're doing, and just like you said, it's life. But
mhm.
we pick it up as if there was no time.
Right, right. I also thought I was this person that was going to be a musician all my life.
Yeah.
Um, that's all I wanted to do, and that was all I saw myself doing, and I wasn't going to be happy if I wasn't doing music. And that was a big part of my downfall of the last year of my drinking was Limbeck wasn't touring anymore. I
Hmm.
wasn't playing with Ben Weasel and the version of Screeching Weasel that was around anymore. I was in this real directionless phase of my life. I was working the same job that I had for 8 years at a bar restaurant.
Yeah.
Um, I wasn't being creative at all. And I had to figure out like, okay, who do I want to be? What's my plan B? And that's when I discovered that I'm somebody that wants to help somebody on their journey to live differently and live a life of recovery or sober. Because everybody's program looks different.
Hmm.
Um, so once I figured out that I'm not just a musician and this guy behind the drums, this crazy drunk, I had to figure out like I am a helper and I want to help people. And that my plan B ended up becoming my plan A. And
Yeah.
I want to do this as long as I possibly can. Um, but it's funny, it'll take you 13 and a half years or 13 years, whatever it is, to help try to figure yourself out because you're always changing. We're complex beings at the end
We're
of the day.
onions. We're onions. We have so many layers
Mhm.
to peel back. I mean, that's the thing that I think I found out the most was like 3 years after my sobriety, and like I'm like, this person in Seattle, and I go hiking a lot, and then 6 years after my sobriety, I'm like, I want more. I want more from my life. Like I want to do something that's more meaningful. And then, just in the last 3.5 years, I feel like I'm still a work in progress, but goddamn, I found this avenue that I've created, and that's where I want to be and who I want to be. And yeah, I could probably use
Perfect.
some shit calling out, but my therapist gets to hear all of that.
That's great. And that makes me really happy that you're in therapy too, because I think everybody needs a therapist.
Yes, I think that's,
Yeah.
unfortunately in this country, not everybody can even be guaranteed to get assistance in healthcare, but if you can, I think it's a definite good idea to have therapy, especially right now.
Mhm.
God. uh,
Positive mind frame is a really big thing too.
yes.
Positive mental attitude, that PMA.
PMA, baby.
Uh, um, this brings me back to an interview that I saw with Kevin Smith a few
Hmm.
years ago. We can all get lost in this like selfish loop, this negativity loop, whatever it may be.
Hmm.
And it's really easy to talk about music or this person you don't like, or to judge something. And, Kevin Smith had that brush with death.
Yeah.
And somebody wants to talk to him about, like, what didn't you like about this movie, or what albums have you heard that you don't like? He goes, you know what? I'm not going to waste a minute of my life after having this brush with death talk about things that I don't like, but I will talk to you for 8 hours about the things that I love.
I love that so much.
I think it's such a great perspective, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to focus more on that.
Me too. And I do, I could probably talk to you, if you've listened to the new Deftones album for a half hour about how fucking good it is, or, how much I enjoyed the last 3 movies I saw, Weapons, Superman, and Fantastic Four,
Weapons was so good.
Oh God, it was great. And that movie would have caused us all extra therapy time if it didn't have humor in it. Luckily, it had enough humor in it to not make you feel like you want to invert your skin and run away.
100%. There were times where people in the movie theater were laughing so hard, like I thought I was going to pee my pants towards that last 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. No, and I try not to waste my time on the negativity or even being negative. It's when you look at what's going on around us is the scary part. It's the, all the things, which, I talk about at length on this podcast. Usually when I do a solo episode, I just go into it because I don't have to worry about somebody being like, Dave, I can't be around you while you're saying those words. Yeah. It's a federal crime. But in sobriety, totally. I feel like, and I don't know if this is the same for you. Like you said, everybody's different, but I feel like I'm never going to betray myself being sober. There's never anything I'm going to do that's going to betray Dave. I'm as clear-headed as possible, even when I'm sleep-deprived, delirious, I'm on a rant, whatever it is.
Sick.
Yeah, sick.
If you're not feeling well. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm never going to betray myself.
You've done?
What?
You saying that is you have different boundaries than you did before.
Yeah.
And these are boundaries that you've worked on, I'm guessing, because it's something that doesn't happen overnight. And, your boundaries keep getting stronger and stronger, and you're not going to accept anything else. And you're not turning back. You're not looking back on that old Dave. That old Dave's gone.
Yeah. He only exists in photos and videos and, and writings or whatever, but he is not the person that's sitting in front of you right now.
Right. That old Dave was a beautiful person too, though.
Oh yeah.
I want you to know that. And I will always think about that Dave fondly. That guy's still my friend too.
Yeah. Oh no. And he wasn't a bad person. Just like old Johnny's not a bad person. We're all works in progress. And dude,
that's questionable about me.
Well, dude, but to me, for me, and our relationship only exists between me and you. I owe you so much just for being there for me. And I don't mean I owe you anything, material. I'm just saying without you, I wouldn't have found, it was you and my buddy and Kevin. And that's it. Those are the 2 people that I was able to talk to about sobriety that had experience with it. And I owe you so much for that, just being there for me. It's true friendship. I can't, a brother, you're a brother.
Thank you, bud. No, same here. Same here. You've also helped me too, because helping somebody that is an addict, an addict or alcoholic, helping somebody it helps me a great deal. That's part of my program because everything could be about self,
Sure.
Think about other people first.
Yeah, there could be a lot more of that going around. It would really, really be a positive thing. And dude, your path to doing what you're doing now, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I remember when you first told me, I was like, man, this makes so much sense that you're going to go into this field, because especially because you've had is it safe to say not only your experience with being an addict, but your experience with music and touring in that sphere, because it is so prevalent in that sphere, it's harbored and it's encouraged. I think that's one of the things that makes me feel like you are doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
No, thank you, man. Um, I finally feel as if I'm doing the thing that I should have been doing all along in my life. Just took me a long time to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And bridging the gap of what I was doing work-wise to starting to work in treatment was really tricky because it was also the first 6 months of COVID.
Yeah.
So I was trying to, I was also, I was getting that bonus money. So it was hard to get an actual, I was laid off for like 6 months. And then I got a supervisor to become a licensed alcohol and drug counselor. And I had to start getting job hours. So she was trying to pressure me into getting a job. And I'm like, man, I'm making all this money, not working. Like, this is kind of nice, And
Yeah.
also, not dying is cool because I was still afraid of getting it and being around a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then an opportunity presented itself to where I was in a supervision session with her. And she goes, we really have to get you getting job hours because I needed 6,000 job hours even
Okay.
to remotely come close to getting this certificate. So I was like, okay, Nan, you're right. And she goes, there's this place that's hiring. It's 10 minutes from your house. It's called Recovery Unplugged. They also do music therapy. It would be perfect for you.
Oh, wow.
And she goes, bring your resume and go knock on the front door.
Oh,
And
shit.
so that was my assignment at the end of our supervision hour. I'm like, okay, I'll see you later. And I went over to Recovery Unplugged and rang the doorbell and handed my resume. And I got a interview 2 weeks later. There's a little bit more to the story, but got an interview and I started working just from the ground up. I was a behavioral health technician,
Mm-hmm.
which is a fancy term for somebody that just does rounds and make sure people don't die. And that people aren't messing around or getting drugs in and that kind of thing. And then I became an alumni coordinator, and then I became an alumni manager, and then I became a virtual services alumni manager, and then I started working in business development the last 3 years. So it's been such a wild ride.
Yeah.
And I wonder where it's going to take me.
That's the fun of it, right? Isn't that the fun is not knowing? I think about the same thing for myself. I mean, shit, not to change the subject, but last year I went to Japan for 3 weeks and that trip was completely paid for by my trip. Like I brought home 4 suitcases of books and I sold everything. And like, yeah, my job took me and I'm going back this year for a month. So,
oh my gosh, man.
Yeah.
So is it going to be the same kind of deal where you can bring suitcases and have the trip pay for itself?
Yep. That's the goal. And, I've get to experience this entire beautiful culture that I never thought I'd, get to experience at such length.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you were also in a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode.
A Curb Your Enthusiasm episode, a book about the NHL, and a music video for Frightened Rabbit. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, the Frightened Rabbit thing was super fucking cool.
Yeah, yeah. And, I miss Scott so fucking much, and that's a whole other part of my life that will be with me till I'm no longer here.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's part of your legacy, and I think Scott is smiling down upon you and so happy for these healthy mental and physical changes that you've bestowed upon yourself.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about sobriety a bunch in the last couple of years of his life, and he had gotten sober a couple of times. And depression is a different story. That's a whole other world to exist with. But without him, I wouldn't have experienced Scotland, which now I've been there 4 times, and
awesome.
It's kind of like this overlying theme that we've been talking about. It's like you open your world up and you just kind of follow along with what these doors open that you open with and that you open by making choices. And sometimes they're terrible choices, and you just hope that you can get through those terrible choices to make the good choices.
Right. Make the right choice.
Yeah. And I think Unless there's something else. I feel bad we didn't talk about Limbeck, but we can do that some other time. Sorry, Limbeck
no
fans. But I think this is a great place
problem.
to end it with my buddy John.
Yeah, perfect. And do you mind if I leave you with a couple of things here?
Please, yes.
So just to touch on the Limbeck thing, we are slowly chipping away at a new album. I mean, it's like a snail's pace. And we did release a 7-inch with 2 new songs from it. And we're actually going to do really nice sounding versions of those songs and put them on streaming soon.
Cool.
However long that takes, because we're also busy. And there's 7 kids between the 4 of us that we're taking care of. So that's exciting. And then I have a podcast through my work that I started just recently, and we're a couple episodes in, and it's called Breaking Down Addiction. And
I'll throw the links in the description.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we've aired 1 episode, and the second one is coming up soon, and it's all stories about experience, strength, and hope surrounding recovery, whether it's substance use disorder or mental health issues. So it's going to be really exciting, and I hope to maybe if you're in Nashville sometime, we love to do in-person interviews. So I'd love to get you on the pod if you're ever in Nashville sometime.
I mean, I haven't been in a long time, and I have people to visit there. You and meet your kid and your wife too.
Yes, and to have you on the podcast.
Yeah,
that'd be also great.
That would
perfect.
Anything else? Anything else to plug? Anything else we want to let the world know about?
No shows coming up. Life is great. My baby is going to be 22 months old soon, so her 2nd birthday is coming up.
Yeah.
November 9th, which is wild. My wife and I have our year wedding anniversary coming up October 2nd.
Aw.
We got a couple vacations coming up. Thank you.
Awesome.
And that is all great, but I just want to tell everybody, be kind to yourself and be good to others, especially the people that you don't understand.
Words to live by. And John, this has been great. I mean, you know, me and you could have talked for 5 straight hours, but we'll cut it here. Everybody check out the podcast. I'll have the links in the description below. Go back and take a look at some old, Good Land records. And John, thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you, bro. Love you.
Love you, dude. Love you. Thanks for watching and listening to my chat with Johnny, and thank you to Johnny for his time. I'm sure we'll do that again in the future. I like to continue a conversation with somebody that I'm friends with. Even if I was an enemy, I'd still like to continue the conversation. It just might get heated. And thank you to you for watching. You could check out Good Land Records website and find some of the bands that he's worked with on obviously all the major streaming services. Keep your eye on Limbeck for whenever they release a new album, and probably play some shows. And the links for Johnny's podcast is in the description below, so check that out. Maybe one day I'll be on there. Don't forget to check out the Patreon. I would love to see you come over there and be a part of that community. You get an extra episode and extra content and all that good stuff from both of my channels over there. And if you haven't rated or reviewed this podcast on any of the platforms that you can on, I'd appreciate it. Spotify or Apple, or drop a comment on YouTube, or drop a comment on Spotify. Any interaction with you, my listener, with me, that whole thing with the numbers, the ones, the zeros, the algorithms, it really does help. It helps bring it to new people. And more new people we get, the happier the society it'll be. Because there's no fascism here. None at all. All right. Enjoy the rest of your week. My name's Dave. This is Direct Edition. See you later. Peace.